What's going on, Wolves? It's your boy Saeed. In this video, I want to talk about a concept that's very, like, when I learned it, it took a lot to sink in, and it's still sinking in 3 years later. So there's a book called King, Magician, Warrior, Lover. I can't remember the name of the author exactly, so forgive me if I'm wrong. Just look it up in Google. Robert Moore or something like that. And it's like these four, it's based a lot on like Joseph Campbell's work, right? The archetypes. So it's basically, there are four major archetypes, male archetypes, that are always, you will see them constantly appearing in movies, popular culture, stories, novels, and people you know, and yourself. And those are, archetypes, meaning, for example, let's take what's a good movie? Gladiator. Are you not entertained, right? And let's look at Maximus, the main character. His archetype, you can kind of classify him as obviously a warrior. But if you've watched the movie, you know he's more than just that. He's a warrior, but he's also a lover. And in fact, the whole time, he didn't even want to go to war or anything. He wanted to just go back home and be with his wife and his little kid. But then they killed his wife. I don't want to ruin the movie. If you haven't seen Gladiator, go watch it if you haven't seen Gladiator. Right? So you can look at him and essentially say he's a warrior, but then you'll see there's more to him. He's also a lover. Right? And perhaps to a lesser extent, he's a king also. That's right. He's a leader. Right? And there's the magician. The magician is... he mastered the skill. So actually he's a very good character, Maximus, Gladiator, of someone who is good in all four areas, right? He's a warrior, he's a lover, loved his wife, loved his kid, and he remembered them forever, and he just wanted to go be with them. He loved them to death from his heart. And he mastered the art of fighting. That's the magician part in him, and he was a leader. Okay? So the point of this is a fully self-actualized male man is someone who can look within himself and maximize all four areas in his life. Okay, so let's talk about each one of them briefly. Warrior does not necessarily have to be physical. It can be mental warrior, right? You start a business and you have to be a warrior to make it successful, right? You're not necessarily fighting it with your fists, but you gotta stay persistent, perseverance. Those are characters of a warrior. So that's the warrior side you have to work on. Now, a lot of times, you'll have tendencies towards one side over another. But your job to be fully self-actualized is to realize which sides you lean more towards, but you want to maximize in everything. So for example, for me, I am very much a warrior-like person. For me, always since I was a kid, what carried me through is the attitude of perseverance and persistence. But of course, you have to work on the other sides. Like, honestly, for me, I don't have to work on the warrior. It's just so ingrained within me. But I got to work on the other sides. The king, the magician, the lover. The warrior, I don't have to work at it at all. It's just so natural. Physically, mentally, so natural. Okay? You might find yourself, you're more of a magician. Like, you're more of you read a lot. You like to master things and be skillful. So we'll talk about the magician. The magician is the part that masters a craft or something. Right? So an athlete who practices on a daily basis is a magician because they have to practice their skill. Someone who is, for example, a professor at a university, someone who does research, they're magicians, right? They read a lot and they're trying to master this thing. So magician is always the part of you, like marketing. If you do marketing, that's magician. How do I sell things? Magician is the part of you that is going to try and master a skill, master a craft. Basically that's what it is, right? So for example, let's say you're another example, say you're a public speaker. You see, how do I practice it better? How do I maximize this better, right? You'll see it it's natural. You're gonna need to develop the magician. If you're a warrior and you're going after something, you're inevitably gonna need to develop the magician part of you. Okay. Then there is the lover. The lover is, like sitting down, enjoying a beautiful day like this. You know, just sitting down, enjoying the trees and the beauty of nature. Could be when you're with a woman. You know, you just sit there and you look at her in the eyes, and you guys have like a glass of wine, and nice music in the background, and you dance. That's an example of a lover, right? Or you're just having a good day out with your family. You're playing with the kids, right? That's the lover side in you. That's the side in you that just wants to love, no fighting. You know, just chill. Let's just have a good time. You know, slow it down. The lover, all right? And then the final part is the king, okay? The king is when you're concerned with more than just yourself. When you have a greater purpose, you develop the king. Once you find your purpose, automatically, because usually your purpose you know, will involve something greater than you. And once you find what that purpose is and you go after it, it will have, like, even if you're like, okay, I'm going to be the best athlete in the world. I'm going to be the best soccer player in the world. I'm Ronaldo, I'm Messi. Guess what? You might think it's just you, but no, not really. Because you got 10 other players around you. You have a whole team, right? You have your family watching. You have people depending on you. You know, you have a lot of money and you're doing it to a lot of charity. People are dependent on you. No. Once you find that purpose, even if it may seem initially that it's just me and ego, no, if it's greater than yourself, what usually is your purpose, whether you like it or not, usually it's greater than yourself, then you kind of naturally start to develop the king. Okay? Now there's a shadow part to all of these, meaning the warrior can turn negative, right? You can be like a savage who kills millions and millions of people. Like, you know, let's say you're someone who just goes and kills people, right? That can turn negative. You can be a negative king. You can have like a lot of people following you and supporting you and stuff. Like, let's take Hitler for example, right? And it can turn really bad, and it can turn negative, right? So they can all turn like a lover. The way a lover can turn negative is if you just kind of let people walk all over you sometimes, right? Then the lover, because you just say I love everybody, but then you let people walk over you, again, that can turn negative. So they can all turn negative, all right? So be mindful of that, be aware of that. But generally speaking, if you just have that attitude of I want to learn and serve the world, then they'll be positive, okay? So figure out which part you're more dominant in. Like, you'll have usually two parts in you. Usually, I would say in every man, there's two out of those four parts you're more dominant in. But you got to work on all four to be fully self-actualized. And to be really, really successful in life, you kind of have to work naturally on all four parts of them. Okay? So like, let's take a character like Aragorn from Lord of the Rings. I would say he's someone who's also kind of mastered all four, because he's a king. He truly cares about his people. And he's a lover. I mean, his love for, what was her name? Arwen? Was something to really admire and try to imitate in your own life, and like just his love for his people, you know, because once you have the king and you love your people and you love your woman and you love your family, right? He was a fantastic warrior, you know, and he mastered the art of fighting. Okay, so there you go. Those four things. Figure out which ones you're strong at, which ones your weaknesses. Work on all four, and yeah. It's really some potent shit. So I'm gonna revisit a lot of this stuff, because this is all just on top of my head. And I don't know why I just had this idea of making this video. But I'm gonna revisit these archetypes again. They're very interesting. That's it. Yeah. That's it, guys. I love you. Love all of you. Don't forget to subscribe, or you're gonna sleep with the fishes.